Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flawless, a music podcast. My name is George, and I'm joined by my co-host Liam.
Hello, everybody.
And sadly, Grant, our other co-host, cannot be with us today as he is a poorly little boy. So we wish him
he's
well.
Sick. He's
No, he is a poorly little boy, and I'll take nothing else because then you get more sympathy.
True. He's been talking about like the world's smallest violin. It's like, no, dude, you're really sick and your family's really sick, and you keep getting it in a cycle of like they get it, then you get it, then they get it. It's genuine sympathy, not smallest violin sympathy.
No, absolutely. So yeah, he's a poorly little boy with like three poorly ladies in his house. Anyway, for Flawless, getting back to that, in each episode, one of the hosts or a guest nominates an album that they think is flawless, and we talk about why they love it and what they love about it. And at the end, we decide if we agree unanimously that it's flawless. We have a Facebook group. It's called Flawless Friends and Family. We'd love for you to join us and tell us what you think about your favourite albums and favourite episodes of Flawless. You can join us at facebook.com/group/Flawless Friends and Family, or just look in the show notes. And we also have a Patreon, which will be in the show notes. So you can click on that and back us from as little as $1 a month. And no matter how much you back us for, you will at some point get some special bonus episodes. And if you're one of the cool kids on Clubhouse these days, we have a night on Tuesdays where Flawless have a chat about episodes and bands that we've covered. And it's pretty awesome. And it's part of the Australian music industry group. So go on to Clubhouse and follow that group, and then you'll find about Flawless, and then you can chat to us. So that's very exciting. Anyway, today, importantly, we have a guest. Would you like to introduce thyself?
I shall. My name is Ruby. I am a band manager. I manage 3 bands, Bugs, Hope D and Void. I also work for an organisation called Q Music, and I am a co-programmer of Big Sound Festival.
So not much then.
Yeah,
just a little
pretty quiet.
few things, you know.
Just a few things.
A few hobbies, really.
Hobbies in the music industry.
Yeah, casual
nice.
things.
So that's very, very good. And so you've come as our guest today, which is very exciting, or this evening, to be accurate. And you've brought an album for us to have a little deep dive and a Flawless talk.
Yes, I would love for us to chat about Future Me Hates Me by the Beths.
My eyelids float between 2 states. On the borderline, flows a slow intake. They don't let much in, I don't let much out. Just a broken ball, flickering with doubt. Yeah, it happens all the time. As it really loves me, but I don't love them. It's the one-way street.
Thank you. Now you brought this to us. How did you find out about the Beths and this particular album?
Well, I found out, in a pretty banger way, in the Spotify, new releases section. 2018, I think the record came out, and kind of just fell in love straight away. Dom Miller, one of my best friends and also co-worker at the time, and we still actually work together, so current co-worker, just in a different space. We kind of would always play this song, this record, when we were feeling kind of like a bit down or a bit bored or a bit, just a bit, we needed some picking up. And this band really reminds me of the band I manage, Bugs. It's very guitar pop driven and a lot of backing vocals and harmonies, and I think that's why I fell in love with them too. Kind of like a female counterpart to my male band that I manage. So yeah, that's how I found this record and fell in love with them.
Awesome. Cool. There you go. So Liam, had you heard of the Beths before?
I had heard of them, and I think I might have heard their songs a bit in my Spotify playlist as well, but I'd never actually sat down and listened to an entire album all the way through.
Okie dokie. But it has popped up. So
I knew of them and I'd heard of them, and very disappointed to find out there's only one Beth, which I feel is a little bit of false advertising. I was like, well, how many? They've got to have at least 2.
Yeah.
4 would be awesome. Like if they were all Elizabeth something, that would have been amazing.
Or
But
at
to
least
find
a
out-
middle name.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No. Well, maybe there is an Elizabeth middle name in there.
Maybe
Boys can have
Jonathan's middle name is Elizabeth.
Jonathan Elizabeth Pierce.
Yeah,
That works.
that works.
I love it.
Let's
There's a ring
just
to it.
let's name them all like the middle name of Elizabeth from now on. Okay, so this album came out in August 2018, as we covered, and they are for people who, depending on when episode is released, they are due to play in Brisbane at the Fortitude Valley's The Zoo on June the 3rd in 2021. And for my friends back in the UK, you'll need to wait a little bit longer. They are due to play at the Broodnell Social Club in Leeds on October 29th. So if you remember friends back in Leeds, that was one of the last places I played in my band. So you should go and do that. So although they're known as a New Zealand band, our Beth ain't a New Zealander, is she?
Is she not?
No, she's Australian. So she's actually lived. Used to live in Perth, I think, and then
You're kidding.
went over.
But her accent is so strong and
But that's what I found in my research. But I could be, maybe she just used to live in Perth. But I thought she was Australian, and I'm English, so you all sound the same to me.
how rude.
There's also a huge history, George, you might not know, of Australia stealing New Zealand musicians or creative people when they get too big. So we're going to have to tread very carefully here. So
Oh, okay, that's
if
fine.
that's not the case, Elizabeth, we apologise. That is not Australian doing their standard cultural appropriation of New Zealand stuff, as we always do.
Cool fact is this came out on vinyl, and it came out in standard black, but it also came out in jelly bean green, cloudy grape, orange, cloudy blue, and magenta.
All the range.
Yeah, a full range of different vinyls, which I thought is a testament to a record label loving you to press in all those different colours. So that's awesome. So what was it in particular that brought you to bringing this album to Flawless?
For me, this album covers so many themes of love and self-doubt and self-loathing and almost depression and everything that kind of comes with either crushing on someone or being in love or finding first love. This album is every song kind of takes you through each stage of love and all the kind of things that come with it. So it scopes from feeling doubtful about yourself and then backing yourself and then feeling lost in a love and losing yourself in that and then coming out of it and being like, no, I'm me. I can do this. I'm amazing. Like maybe that love wasn't for me. And then, like it's a real like journey. Every song is a different kind of every song is a different story of one big overarching kind of, it could be like a movie soundtrack. I think this album, sorry. It's really cool, and the storytelling is really cool too.
Awesome. So it's their debut album that came out in 2018, and so it's Elizabeth Stokes is the single Beth in the band.
The Soul Beth.
The Soul Beth, writer, singer, guitar. She also plays the bass according to some pictures on social media. And then Jonathan Pierce is guitarist.
Jonathan Elizabeth Pierce,
guitarist, some vocals, and also studio guru. He has his own studio.
He's an absolute shred lord too. Such a shred lord. It's incredible.
And then Benjamin Elizabeth Sinclair is on bass and vocals, and Tristan Elizabeth Deck is on drums and also knitting. In his social media, there are pictures of him knitting.
Nice.
And then awesome. Ivan Lucating Elizabeth Johnston, drums and vocals. But he's the ex-member now. So
right.
I didn't know which one was the correct member at the time of this album, because I had to get information from Triple J on Earth, Instagram, Spotify, etc., because they decided that their Bandcamp and website should have no information on the band at all. Yes. But they have opened for bands such as The Breeders, Pixies, Weezer, and Death Cab for Cutie.
Nice.
So good for them.
Great match for breeders. That they're a perfect match to open for breeders. I reckon you'd get a
I
lot of
think so.
people that probably haven't heard of them because they'd be sort of older rock fans, and you'd really get a lot of that stuff out of them.
Yeah, I think so. And I think for Weezer as well, with the
pop stuff,
some of the poppier stuff and the kind of deprecating lyrical content, I guess, works quite well with the Weezer stuff. So they've managed to hitch themselves onto some cracking tours. So yeah.
This was their first album. Have you heard their second? I'm going to assume.
Yes.
And how does it compare? What made you pick this one over the second one, maybe?
I think, as we were kind of speaking about previously, Liam, I think there was songs in it that I couldn't call flawless. I guess like there was that one song that I was like, okay, I might skip that potentially. But this album I can listen to over and over again from front to back happily, and I have. So I think it's I think also the themes and everything Liz explores within her songwriting in this album is very, it's very akin to my own heart and the stuff that I go through as a young woman as well. So I think it's kind of just like, she's saying everything I want to say, but in such a better way, Yeah.
That's fair. You forgot to ask me if I'd ever heard of them.
I did forget to ask you, George, had you heard of the Beths before Ruby popped them into our group chat?
Yes.
Nice. I was not expecting that.
Thank you.
Was it Triple Z related?
It was, 4ZZZ related. So I was a temporary announcer on 4ZZZ, and I used to volunteer on the reception desk and do stuff like that. And so, because I was at 4ZZZ, which is a community radio station, and it's alternative fun and like really open and awesome in Brisbane. So because I was volunteering there, I had heard the Beths, which and I used to go through the archive of music, which is ridiculous at 4ZZZ. So I would sometimes go through there, and I would get like new releases if I was covering a show. I get new releases, and there's like a real push for like marginalized members of the community and stuff, and also for like local and things like that. So they push for if you have female members or Indigenous members, or if they're Brisbane based, or if they're Australia based, etc. And there's like quotas that people should really be striving to. So when there's a band like the Beths, they get like, hooray, like we have a female fronted band here who are putting out music tackling issues, so let's celebrate that. So that I have had, but I never listened to an album all the way through, but that's fair enough.
Cool.
So there we go. So do you want to start at the beginning with Great No One?
Yeah, sure. I guess this song is the beginning of the initial introduction into Liz's brain of how she's feeling, and it's about the kind of the voice in her head that is telling her, it's telling her to stop wasting time and start trying and get the ball rolling, and it's such a great metaphoric song lyrically, and such a great album opener in my opinion.
So everyone will have heard the opening of the song, because I just put it at the start of the thing, but just the riff and her voice just straight into it right from the start. No messing around, no slow build up, no interstitial, or we're going to slowly introduce little pieces or one at a time. This is like the band is, her voice and her guitar playing is so much the crux of so many of the songs, and just right from the start, it's like, this is what you're going to get. This is my story. This is my album. Obviously the guys and the supporting stuff are putting their bit in as well, but this is so much of her album.
Yep, absolutely.
And you get that right from that first song. There's like no pretension or no allusions to being something other than it is.
But it sounds really fun and jolty.
This is what you were talking before about all the themes that are all through this album, and that's one of the things that I love about it is like, yeah, it's got all of those, but it's all couched in the most upbeat, fun pop music you could ever want to hear. And it's like, if you paired this stuff with wishy-washy lyrics that, you were just like, hey, we're just here to have fun and a good time and hear some pop rock, it wouldn't work quite as well.
Yeah.
And if it's like the really dark stuff against really dark music, then it's like, okay, that's a completely different thing entirely. But to pair these two things together And I don't know if there's any pressure on her to like, oh, I like writing pop music. Should I just write fun pop songs? I'm sure she could do it.
Yeah.
But she's just like, no, I can pair really dark things about my own self-loathing and fun upbeat pop rock. That'll work. And it just works. It's just like, it shouldn't work, but it
really
does.
And it's kind of like really up my alley when it comes to types of bands. Like as I mentioned before, I manage Bugs, and they're very much similar in their songwriting as well. Kind of raps, like kind of darkish or self-deprecating, or like even just like dark outtakes on the world in just the happiest songs. And it's like the juxtaposition is so good, and you kind of just like bopping along to this kind of like depressing-ish song, but it's just wrapped in this fun bubble. And I think the lyrics that I wanted to point out in this song especially that I really love is one of them is
Just a broken ball, flickering with doubt.
that's just so beautiful. It's a beautiful metaphor, and it's just so like everyone's felt that way, you know, kind of just like a lonely little bulb, like flickering with their own doubt, trying to like stay on and trying to be bright, but like you know, not really necessarily getting there. And there's so many moments on this song that are metaphorically beautiful like that. And yeah, it's just a this lyric as well. Misery loves me, but I don't love her. Super fucking cool. Like it's just like so like effortlessly like I'm making a reference to a pop culture thing or you know a bigger kind of well-known saying, but like just in such a nice, cool like
snappy way.
They're just like so cool and yeah.
And it's got a punchy guitar solo, and it was like, so is it Elizabeth? So are we Liz? Is she Liz or Beth or Elizabeth? What? Come on.
She goes by Liz, I'm pretty sure.
So she's
that's what her
called the
Insta
Beth and
is.
she goes by Liz. Okay, fine.
You know, just keeping it
The
spicy.
Liz's doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well.
Is it Liz or is it Jonathan Elizabeth who does the lead guitar? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure it's Jonathan.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Because, there's some really sweet, like, because it is poppy, sugary, sweet kind of music. But, like, there's, like, really fun guitar solos in there, too. So I was just like, I was wondering, I was like, ooh, which of the guitarists is doing the twiddly bits?
Yeah.
Because the twiddly bits are happening when she's not singing. So that's why I just made the assumption that she was doing the twiddly bits.
Yeah. I mean, they both rip, but I'm pretty sure, like, every time I've seen them live, it's Jonathan just absolutely losing his mind. And, like, he is an incredible musician and really technically well-trained. I actually, like, through Googling and stuff because of this, I found out that they all studied jazz at the University of Auckland, which I thought was a really cool, like, I guess, segue into why they're so technically good.
Yeah.
Because they have that jazz training. And yeah, you can really, it really comes out in the guitars.
Yeah. And jazz is hard. So,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I think we've encountered a few bands like that before where you find out that certain members have gone to like jazz schools or like really difficult, like they're really well trained musicians. So then when they come to apply that to what might not be as complex styles, they just apply the complex levels to it and just make it really work really well.
Yeah.
So she came from studying jazz in college, and then in an interview she said the Beths is almost reactionary to jazz school and trumpet. It's a guitar band. We make guitar music. I like it that way.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any possibility that, you know, their third or their fourth album, they might, hey, we're really complex, you know, long song structures now, like big 5-minute looping epic pieces. I think they're always just going to be that guitar pop band because that's the way they like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. It's kind of, it's just like we're here. This is what we do. Like, you know, like it or leave it. I found a really cool quote that they said that I want to read out, and I was like, this is exactly them. They said in an interview, we know we're not cool, we're not models, and if we try to be cool or look cool, it will look terrible. So as long as it's not trying to be cool, we're sweet with it. That's the ground rule, really. And I think that's so evident in everything they do. Like they're just,
That's cool.
like they are innately cool because they aren't cool. So I think that was really nice.
That's awesome. So do you have like favorite tracks that you like go to?
I mean, to be fair, because this album is so kind of like a journey in itself, I generally listen to it from front to back. Like I listen to it the way it's was intended to,
that's
because it takes you on a journey. It takes you through the heartbreak. It takes you through new love, and it's kind of like it is a young modern tale of love. The whole thing. So I think I can't just listen to one song here and there. It's just it feels wrong to me. I mean, obviously I have them playlisted and everything, but if I had to choose songs that I really, really love, it would be Future Me Hates Me, the title track.
So good.
sense.
For sure.
Really lovely melodies, a high-pitched moment. It reminded me of like 90s bands like Belly, like, if you remember them. So yeah, it just had that kind of like 90s vibe to it, for sure. About liking someone but already seeing the downfall.
Oh, I can relate so hard.
So like the idea there, that future person who's like, no, you're happy without that person. Just stay happy without that person. You're fine.
Yeah.
And then going, no, I can't. I still got to go in. I've got to go for it. Because what if I could be happy? And the future is like, no, you won't be. It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
But then also that pessimism of like, I already know this is like, I already think this is going to fail. It's like, that's not a good way to go into a thing if you're starting something out. But it's just that that's what always happens. So future me that knows that that's what is going to happen again this time hates that I'm going to get into
so
it.
she sings
Future heartbreak, future headaches, wide-eyed nights late lying awake.
like it's cursed before it's begun, so why bother?
Well, I feel like I'm going through this right now, actually. But at the moment, I'm like, you're going to hate yourself. It's kind of like when you go out for a big night and you're like, you're going to hate yourself in the morning. What are you doing, you stupid idiot? Like, drink some water right now. And you're like, nah, I'm having too much of a good time. I want to test it. I want to like push the boundaries. And this is exactly what she does in this song. And I guess there's, I wrote another lyric that she sings, sometimes I think I'm doing fine. I think I'm pretty smart. Then the walls become thin. Somebody gets in and I'm defenseless. Like, it's so true. Like, it's just like,
Yeah, you have to be vulnerable when you're in a relationship with somebody.
And sometimes it just happens and you're like, okay, well, I'm going along with this ride. Like, if it sucks, it sucks, and I'm going to deal with that later. But yeah, future me will have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lyric from that song, and it's the one that opens the song. And I think it's actually a perfect summary of what the Beths are about. So it's, I never wanted to, I didn't want to fall. I don't believe that love's a good idea at all. Oh, this well-designed world, everyone that I know is broken and has fell for it before. And I don't believe that love's a good idea at all is just great. Like, it's just, like, it's not good enough in the moment for the benefits that the inevitable crash is worth having had the benefits, which is like the opposite of what most people will tell you about love. Is like, it's okay for it to end because it's in the moment of being love is actually worth the pain at the end. And she's like, no, that's not true at all. I'd rather just not. Like, not saying I'm not going to, because I absolutely will.
Yeah,
but
I'm still going to do it.
I don't think the payoff now is worth the pain down the line.
Yeah.
Which is just the opposite of what every romantic anything will ever tell you.
Yeah, and future songs definitely like explore the feelings of being like, see, I told you so.
Yeah.
Like those moments.
Because then she also, like, just thinking about like where she is when she sings the song and the future her hates her, but she's also the future her of someone back.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I hate that person.
So meta.
Because I had everything set and you dive into this thing and now I'm stuck in this position again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because in You Wouldn't Like Me, she sings, you wouldn't like me if you saw what's inside me. And so that's, again, like already pushing it out there, saying there's no point us getting close because you won't like what you see.
You won't like it.
Yeah.
So,
God damn, that's such a punchy track, though. Like, it's so depressing. And
do you know what it's got?
I know what it's got, George.
It's got fucking
hand claps.
Hand claps! Yeah. It's got bloody hand claps.
Such great hand claps.
And then, so
With
that,
the guitar solo into more hand claps.
Yeah, so it's like hand claps and then full instrument crushing in and then pull it all out again so we can just go back to hand claps.
Yeah.
So cool.
Good.
And it's got ahs in it as well.
Yeah.
I always highlight the ahs. With the guitar solo to finish it on this like really uplifting beat. It's like this like mood, and it's only like 3.5 minutes long, but it's got this really like punchy guitar solo to finish it.
Yeah, that's so punk. I feel like they also use like just touching on their backing vocals, it's almost like they use that element as a fifth instrument. it's not just, you know, backing vocals chucked in. They're really like at the forefront. There's something that they use like as a storytelling technique, but also as another instrument. Like it's not a lot of bands do that these days. I feel like it's a pretty old maybe even 60s vibe that they used to do that. But now like now I guess it's kind of just in the background, you know, whatever, additional kind of puff to a song. But this is definitely like they use it as an instrument to the band that's so prevalent.
Because sometimes Liz is harmonising with herself, or she's just doubling up vocals with herself. And then sometimes the other Elizabeths are joining in the background, and or they're doing call and response. And it's like they explore the voice as an instrument, which is definitely something that jazz musicians would do. Because it isn't like the voice is another instrument. It shouldn't just like carry a simple melody. It's supposed to be doing complex and interesting things and interlacing them. Like that is what you're supposed to be doing. So if you just listen to this album without doing a deep dive into any lyrics, you would just blindly bop along.
Absolutely. It's definitely a bop.
Because even on Future Me Hates Me, doesn't that open with one of the guys shouting something? I don't know if he swears or is it
he says something. I don't actually know what it says, but I love it. And then it just goes boom, punches in.
Oh, and that's Uptown Girl. I'm feeling it.
Yeah, that's right. Uptown Girl. That's the one it is on. Yeah.
Sorry, it is.
Yeah,
And
because that's
super-
pop
Doesn't
punk.
say I'm feeling it.
Yeah,
I didn't even know what he said.
Yeah.
He
says, I'm feeling it.
I was just always like,
At the very beginning. And then
it's
there's
because it's
oohs.
the pop punk thrash, like just
Yeah.
pure thrash.
so fun.
Throw yourself around.
Really good drum trills as well.
Yeah.
In that one.
The percussion is frigging incredible, brilliant in this song, so punchy, and it's just like it's something you want to see live and just want to lose your shit on the dance floor too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the one it's about the end of a relationship and realizing the person she was with isn't who they said they were and who they didn't think they were. So it's got the line, Lyric buddies, which is so angry. That's so mean. Like I hope I drink poison and you die. But it's just couched in this beautiful pop framework.
Can't be angry at it.
No, you gotta listen. You gotta re-listen to it. Go, wow, that's really dark. To hope somebody dies.
Yeah, and it's
quite dark.
Yeah.
I love
But
the darkness.
doing it over something like so sugary sweet as well.
Yeah,
like
that's the thing.
musically.
Is like if you don't pay attention to it, you can miss how dark it really is because it just sounds like the pop punk.
So do you want to know why I had a little giggle at Little Death?
I think I know why.
Is it because of the French?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Would you like to explain?
Well, yeah, of course. So the little death in French is le petite mort, and it's in reference to having an orgasm because the feeling after having an orgasm is like dying a little. And so I wrote that down as something that I don't know whether that's what
I wasn't
she
sure
intended.
if it was conscious or not because it's like with the lyrics and stuff in there, I forgot to write them down. It was about that kind of like, you make me feel this way. And I was like, so is she literally like, you make me feel like I'm rolling my eyes back into my head or what? Or, or
that's
is it
what
not?
that's
like,
what I take from
is
it.
it like a tongue-in-cheek thing, or was it just a really sweet way of referencing like feeling like you're dying inside? You know, so I don't know, but it made me have a proper giggle. So that's good. But that one had that kind of perfect like indie rock accomplished sound, and they played all the right parts at all the right times, and the drums were splendid.
Yeah, it's I guess going back to if the double meaning of the song is actually the French word, like I guess the whole song kind of explores physical feelings about being in love or having a crush, so maybe it is like a little nod to that. But you can, in the pre-chorus she says so I guess
Lyric buddies, no way lyric buddies. Awesome. Yeah, got the exact same thing written down. Just that physical list of things.
Yeah.
And so that's what I meant to write down, and meant that I was like, so is she doing a little nod to the French? But I'm going to believe that she did.
Yeah, I reckon it's a little subtle, like, if you know, you know.
And there's a huge amount of thrashing on the finish of that. And I love when bands do this where it's like, it feels like they're almost about to lose control. Like it's just wild and they're not actually working together, but it just goes right to that edge. And then you realize, no, they're jazz musicians. They're exactly in control. It sounds like they're just random, but it's actually really tightly, perfectly controlled. Yeah. And then they just bring it back in. And the barreling drums in this song are really awesome. Like just every time there's an opportunity, it's just like, the real straightforward, just moving forward momentum.
Yeah, so cool.
Can I just say that the whole jazz background makes so much sense with Happy Unhappy. I like the oh intro, but they do that little syncopated moment where they say, "You're in my brain." And that makes like perfect sense because it's such a jazzy thing to do. So it was just like a really sweet classic kind of chorus. And yeah, it was just like, from that perspective, I just thought it was a really sweet, like 3.5 minute song.
Oh yeah, I'm obsessed with if I can just fawn over another lyric that I love. I mean, there's so many moments in this album that I love, but this one especially is kind of like something that is so relatable. She says,
If you feel the same, 'cause you're in my brain, taking up space, I need more remembering things to take out the things in that one particular film that actor was in. I see you.
and I just think like it's such a like, when you have that love and you're just obsessing over them and thinking only of them, you do forget your real life boring stuff like taking out the bins, and I just love that she's just kind of expressed that there. So nice.
Because the lyrics in that one, they're so fast that it's almost hip-hop. She's almost rapping the stuff, because she uses a similar pattern of one that I picked up where she says, because you're in my brain taking up space, I need delivering lies and suppressing the sighs. So it's like I need all my brain space to stop being with you, and you being here and actually being with me is actually robbing me of the energy that I need to not be with you, which is cool.
Yeah, I didn't actually know it took me kind of doing this to really realize exactly, because she is singing so fast in this song. Like I kind of just like, most of the time when I listen to it, I'm like, like get tongue tied or whatever. But like, it was so nice to kind of explore exactly what she's saying in this song.
So did you have another song that you wanted to talk?
I'm actually, I think the last song, Less Than Thou, is quite possibly one of like my favorite closing songs to an album ever.
Nice.
It's just so, I mean, thematically it obviously closes out the album perfectly. It's about disappointing someone in a relationship and trying to break it off, but doing all the wrong things. And it's just, I don't know, every time I listen to it, I want more, like the way it builds. And perfect bookend in my opinion. I'd love to know what you think about it.
Well, I like that at the end as well, they just are pissing about in the studio, like with this like little bit of laughter and stuff. And it was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Because you get to the end and you're like, are you okay? And then they're like, ha ha ha, putting the stuff away, and you're like, okay, right, okay, I feel like I can end this now. This is okay. So I think it makes sense with that really sweet intro to, melody to that song. It makes perfect sense to have it as that like kind of loneliness breakup-y type track at the very end, going, well, we warned you at the beginning what this was going to be about, and we got to the end and we're there. So like you talk about listening to it as a journey, and it makes perfect sense that you would do so.
There's no happy ending on this. There's no getting to the end like, oh, I was wrong about all the things I felt before. It's like, no, these are all the things that I've felt over and over again. I know what they are and I'm committed to them, and it does give that really nice ending. I did love River Run Level 1 as well. Like that almost feels like it could be an ending. And I've had things in the past where it's like, if it's an ending track and then they keep going, it's like, oh, well, I want to know what you wanted. Like you had to justify keeping going. But they definitely do, because Less Than Thou is awesome. But River Run, just less fast and frenetic than the rest of the album, like more somehow more poppy, and just like the big chunky guitar riffs. And yeah, I love River Run.
It's got a nice intro of just like first 10 seconds as a guitar riff, which is like really lo-fi.
Yeah, do
And
like noodling.
just like da, 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 and then it's like song.
Yeah.
It's like, by the way, this is the sound we make again.
Yeah.
But it just has this little lo-fi moment, but for a bit of a change. Then her friend's trying to reach out to her, she's refusing, and it's her birthday, and tries to be happy, but a river will run.
Yeah.
So that's just like her theme for her song.
And so many good ooh
Yeah,
in
the
that song
harmonising
too.
and the oohs and the ahs are all awesome.
Yeah. Sorry for subjecting you to my awful singing.
Don't ever apologise
No, all
for singing
good.
on the podcast.
We've all sung on the podcast at one time or another.
Yeah. So Liam,
Yes.
what about you?
Well, yeah, I liked River Run. Yeah, we've probably done... Yeah, Not Running is cool as well, like just a bit darker in tone. Like the first 4 songs are that really upbeat poppy music against the lyrics. And this one musically is probably a little bit down, darker than that.
Yeah.
But still with that feel of what they're trying to do, and not sort of... This isn't the one song that stands out from all the rest. It's just like a little twist on it. It was really cool.
I liked in that there's that hissing amp sound at the very beginning with like twiddly guitar, and then the drums ramp up under the vocals slowly, and then it gets really driving and keeping, like the bass is like driving and then is keeping up with the drums. So the bass, Elizabeth, which Elizabeth have we got? Benjamin Elizabeth, is playing the bass like as quickly as the drums are running.
The tempo is nuts in this song.
Yeah.
So cool. And I guess it goes hand in hand with what the song is about. Like, this is where she's kind of like, fuck it, I'm going to back myself. And like the tempo really just like accompanies that theme like so nicely. And it's the sense of urgency is just not stressful, but also kind of like, you know, when you're on a mission, you're like, yeah, I'm doing this. Like that's exactly what it exemplifies. And it's really cool the way they've done that.
And it ends with 20 seconds of like feedback. So it starts with a hissing amp and it ends with a feedback, and it's like guitar. This is a guitar song. And so like again, I'm a sucker for like playing the different parts of the guitar to make noises, like hitting the guitar to make percussion, or like strumming the headstock to make that twinkling sound and stuff. And like using it as like a hissing amp or feedback is always like a nice addition. When you're a guitarist, it's really nice to hear it in something else.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, which is cool. And so we've covered Happy Unhappy, which You're in My Brain, which I enjoyed very much, because I sometimes feel like people are in my brain. So I'm like,
oh my God, yes.
I'm like, stop it, like get out. It's
Yeah.
not for you.
Yeah.
So that just made me giggle. I think it was just really sweet.
So it was nominated for the Aotearoa, which I don't know how to pronounce, but it's the Maori name for New Zealand.
Aotearoa.
Sorry?
Is it Aotearoa?
Maybe. Yeah. I've got Aotearoa. I don't have another R at the start there.
Oh,
But
okay.
Anyway, it's the New Zealand equivalent of the ARIA Awards. They were nominated for Best Album, Best Group, Breakthrough Artist, and Alternative Artist, and they won Best Group. And then I think the next album came out and it was nominated for all the same categories and it won them all. Like by that time, people were used to them enough to go, yep, you're the best at all this stuff. You're just awesome. And we love you.
And that's huge, I think, for like a band from New Zealand as well, because obviously there's a lot of kind of like reggae influences and a lot of like that kind of R&B, that kind of music. Like guitar music isn't really something that's as prevalent as it is here. It's not really a genre that's like, yep, this is the number one. So it's cool that a band that is a guitar band could win all of those prestigious awards in New Zealand. And I mean, they come over here and we obviously love them because we're, you know, fundamentally like
They're perfect for Australia.
a guitar rock country. I mean, so yeah, the sound is pretty much made for Australia, but I think that the fact that they could do that over there is just a really a good testament to their songwriting and how good of a band they are.
So there weren't any official singles released, but they did do they had promo singles. So I guess stuff they maybe sent to the radio or whatever. So that was Happy Unhappy, Future Me Hates Me, and Great No One. So the first two, and then Happy Unhappy. And I think River Run would have worked well as a single as well. I think that would have
Just a different taste.
Yeah, and it would have worked well on like popular radio sort of stations, I think. So.
Yeah.
If you watch the Spotify, if you actually watch it on Spotify, when you're listening to it and you open it up, there are videos to a few of the tracks, so you can actually watch them, like just like micro videos. That are
they're
on
canvases.
a loop. Yeah, just on a loop. And there's one of Liz shooting up into the sky with like fireworks coming out of her feet and hands and stuff like that, and it was just like really interesting because all of the visual imagery is like really upbeat and positive, like along with the music. So yeah, it was just like in contrast to like the lyrical content, like even the visual content is just like, hey, we're upbeat and fun, come and watch us. And then, by the way, just whilst you're here, let's take you on a journey.
I've actually seen the Beths live, I think.
Cool.
Maybe 3 times now.
Nice.
I saw them at Black Bear Lodge in Fortitude Valley here.
Oh, nice, because that's a small, tiny.
That would have been intense.
It was super cool. Like the guitar just melted my face off the entire time. And then I guess to a total contrast, I saw them when they played Splendor in the Grass. I think it was 2019.
Oh yeah.
They played the main stage, and it was. They played earlier, maybe like 1 o'clock. It was blistering hot. I think it was maybe the Sunday, so everyone was kind of a bit cooked. But goddamn, they put on a show, and like they moved those, like hungover bodies in the blistering heat, and we were all just losing it too. Like there was probably like, I don't know, a couple of hundred people there, so it wasn't full, but it was so nice. And I actually, it's another time that I saw them. The band I manage, Bugs, who I've mentioned multiple times in this podcast so far, were playing a festival called Yours and Ours in Wollongong, and the Beths were playing as well. And we actually drove down because the bushfires were happening at the time, and we had to like take this crazy way, and we didn't have enough money to fly. So we drove down, and on the way down, I showed the 3 boys from the band this Beths album, and I've never seen Connor, who is the lead singer, I've never seen a boy fall in love with a band as fast as he did with this record. Like he was just like, holy shit, how, like, I have to see them. Like we have to support them. We have to like be around them. And it's actually really influenced his songwriting since then. And, which I'm not mad about because I'm obsessed with the Beths. So anything Beths adjacent is like a goldmine for me. So, it was just like really special. And then when we saw them, they played on the Saturday and Bugs played on the Sunday, or the other way around. And it was just like, we just danced the whole time, sung all the lyrics, and it was just so friggin' fun. They're just such a fun band. So if you can go and see them, I would highly recommend it.
I imagine they'd be super fun live.
So cool.
They'd be the perfect festival band because you wouldn't need to know them to get their vibe.
Yeah.
And if you didn't want to do the deep dive and learn about the dark stuff, you could just go on
Enjoy
the surface
it.
and just have a dance and if you'd never heard them before, you're just like, oh, who's that? Oh yeah, they're cool. I'm going to have a bit of a dance for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah. And
I danced to these guys.
Yeah.
oh, cute. And like, I can't get past Liz's cute New Zealand accent. Like, it's just like, it's someone, it doesn't pop out all the time, but some of the songs I'm just like, oh, there it is. Hello. You're adorable.
So I'm thinking, I've written used to live in Perth, so she must have gone like from New Zealand to Perth at some point. But so that's probably why Australia's claimed them.
Probably.
Well, she said
Shock.
she was in Auckland when she was 13. So when from age 13 she was playing in a folk duo they described it as Auckland's dangerously supportive all ages scene, because she said it's very quiet and they're very respectful and laugh at all your jokes. And you're like, I'm so great. So yeah, I don't know if she might have a couple of years in Perth and then back to New Zealand or something.
Yeah, maybe. But all I know is that I apparently can't tell the difference between when people are singing. Like, I've got Kiwi friends and I can absolutely tell but when they're talking, but I just assumed that she was Australian.
No, I think it only pops out like in certain times, and then the new record, I think it's a bit more apparent in some of the. She says best friend and like sings it like it's cute. So I think it only pops out in my brain occasionally, but it's there.
At no point does she just say, I'm from New Zealand.
That would have helped, yes.
Yeah, then I would have absolutely known. So that would have been helpful. Yes, that's cool. So we are coming up close to, we've covered all the songs, right?
Yep,
this is
pretty
very
much.
exciting.
I'm just going to quickly jump in and go, I would like to get a tattoo that says, always caught in between the ache and the apathy.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Which is from
another
the first song,
Liam
Great
and
No
his
One.
tattoo.
Liam with one-line tattoo. So that idea of like, you've either got to let it go and just like, I don't care, or you can fight for something and know it's going to hurt you.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Is it
I feel like that's the story of my life.
It's better to fight for something, theory, right?
Yeah.
But is it? Because if it's always going to end up badly for you, maybe you're better off just like going, oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that was a really cool line.
Super cool.
Sweet.
I wonder what star sign Liz is, because I feel like we're exactly the same. Like, just,
And what is that?
I'm a Taurus, very much a headstrong young lady. Fighting pretty much all the time for what I want, and then being like, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's dumb.
I'm an Aquarius. I don't know what that means.
Aquarius.
Yeah.
Quirky and interesting.
Oh.
They're the most kind of quirky ones of the...
Gemini. I'm two-faced and have split personalities and show different sides to different people.
I find
feel
Gemini
like
men are quite like not as hectic though.
Okay.
I have a lot of
that's
Gemini men friends.
The base what I know of
I
what
feel like
Gemini
I'm
is.
more
It's two.
Gemini than I'm Aquarius.
I mean, everyone's a mix of a lot of stuff. There's a whole
Yeah.
chart system. It's a
very-
lot, but yeah.
We're all complex beings, aren't we? That's why we show up and do podcasts together. So we're just like, hey, do you want to be on our podcast? Sure. There you go. Done. We're all quirky. So now we're all Aquarius. So this is hilarious. So did you have anything else you'd like to cover, or would you like to go to your final pitch, my love?
I guess might do my final pitch. I love this album, as I've mentioned before, because of the kind of the storyline it takes you through, and all of the themes of love and crushing, and like as I said in my first kind of little spiel about it, Liz just explains everything that I want to say in such eloquent way, and like and as we've spoken about throughout this whole podcast, it's all just wrapped in such punchy, fun music. And who doesn't want to just like bop around to like some amazing guitar, some incredible backing vocals, and sing along and like until your throat hurts, So like this is a record that I put on, as I said, every Friday, or whenever I'm feeling like really pumping myself up, I'll chuck this on and I'll feel like, ready to go, empowered.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, let's pass it over to Mr. Liam.
Cool.
So your final thoughts and your flawless thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs down. So I was listening to the album, and then it's just like the perfect intro. I love that first track, and then the second track is somehow even like a lift up from there. And it's just an instant throwback for me. So someone who came through in the 90s, listened to like all the 90s Oz rock sort of stuff, I'm like, yep, this is right up my alley. But what used to happen with a lot of those bands is like they'd have 2 or 3 songs that were like that. They were at that intensity and they had that perfect style. And then the rest of it was just like a step off. Like it's just like, these are the songs that they don't quite match the style. They're not quite at the same energy, but we had to fill an album. So we came up with some other stuff. So whenever I listen to an album like this, I'm like, okay, 2, 3, 4 into it. This is working really well, but I'm waiting for that drop off. And then it just never came. Like, I'm like, there's no way you can maintain this intensity all the way through it. But
And
they
still
did.
be interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they did. And then the ones where they didn't were things like River Run and Little Death, where it's like a different style or a different speed or a different tempo, but still within that same style and the same method that they go through. And so, I was just working my way all the way through it, and it just kept getting great and great. And then you get to the end and it's like, this was awesome. And you loop back around again. So just beautifully crafted. Just when I looked up like all the lyrics, I was like, okay, this is really cool how they're melding the darker stuff into the awesome pop stuff. Finding out they were jazz people, like, you can feel. The other thing I always wonder sometimes is like some bands who are so good at this make it look so effortless. You wonder how bands trip up on themselves sometimes not being able to do this, because these guys make it look so easy and it feels just so effortless for them. So no huge big production or studio tricks, just 4 people doing what they're amazing at, which was just like, I loved it. So pointed songs, and I thought it was flawless for me.
Look at you.
That was really cool.
Look at you, Liam.
Thank you so much. I'm just like, I've got to go and listen to the second one. I'm definitely going to go and see them. That's 3 days before my birthday. So I'm definitely going to go and see them. I mean, not that that's affects whether or not I go and see them or not, but
Now I know when
I'm
your
definitely
birthday
going.
is. Sweet.
Now I'm definitely going to go and see them.
Yeah, we
'cause
got
I
to
think
sweat it up in the zoo. That'll
they
be
would
so
be
fun.
amazing. And the zoo, they'll be great at the
Yeah.
zoo. So I think it'll be, a great time, and I
Yeah.
can't wait for it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
George,
Hello.
final thoughts and a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Final thoughts. Okay, so when I first listened to this record, I was just like, this is a fun, boppy, awesome record. And it was like right up my alley of things that I could wiggle my bum to, which is really fun. And then I was listening going, their musicianship is awesome. And I really enjoyed the fact that everything was played beautifully and interplayed beautifully and was constructed in a really nice way. So I was like, so I had it on like on my headphones, like bopping around and stuff like that. And I thought that some of like the titles were like quirky and like little bits of the lyrics and stuff that I heard at first. But I was thought were really quirky and fun. And so then I got into my deep dive, obviously, as we do for this. The thing that let it down for me was actually what you guys love so much, and it's been hurting me so much, is I really hate the lyrics.
Oh.
I think the messaging is all wrong. I found it really depressing, and I think that it's aimed at bopping 14-year-old girls who are going to listen to it and think that it's okay to be that depressed and miserable, and it's okay not to fall in love. And I'd rather they listen to Black Flag as a band. Like, at least they have songs like Rise Up. Whereas I had no reprieve in this. And as somebody with mental health problems, I was listening to this going, I was reading these lyrics just going, I feel like this needs to come with trigger warnings, suicide warnings, and all sorts. And I was really affected by it. The fact that it was wrapped up in this like poppy, easy, like fun music made me really angry, because I felt like it was targeting young, vulnerable people with like messages that I was really like personally affected by, that I wouldn't want like my stepdaughters to be affected by when they were like young and listening to this sort of thing. So I can't say it's a flawless album. Musically, I would have said absolutely through the listens that I had, but when I had a deep dive into the messaging, it was not something I could do. So I'm sorry I can't bring it over the line.
That's all good.
No,
So
everyone's got their own
and
things.
so I'm sorry, Liz, that's fine, about my thing, if you ever listen to this, but it's just my personal opinion. But we didn't get this one over the line, but I just want to thank Ruby for being our guest.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And I would like to thank you, everyone, for listening to Flawless. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at FlawlessAMP on all of those. So you can join the conversation, share or like our post, give us a rating, even just tell a friend, because every little bit helps find more music lovers like you. And we also have a Patreon, which is in the show notes, and a Clubhouse group on the Australian music industry group on Clubhouse. So go and follow that and find out about Flawless. So thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time.